Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. It is Out of the Fog, as discussed in the opening. A local arts and business bop. We talk about all the goings-on all over the province, and it's an honor to be hanging out with you tonight. And speaking of honors and people who do amazing creative things, I want to turn your attention to the one and only Paul Power. How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Let's start where we met. Let's make it selfish, you know? TEDx, St. John's, amazing organization, ideas worth spreading for any of you guys that have not heard much about this organization. It's worldwide. And through a grueling process of selection and then mentorship, coaching, and training, what we end up with every year in our fair city is an elite lineup of incredible individuals with these ideas. And you were one.
I was. They have auditions or interviews, and I got chosen with, I think it was 7 or 8 other great speakers, and everybody had a unique voice and a unique story, and yeah, I was one of them. And I shared a story about Paul Power, who lives with a physical disability, and I use leg braces and crutches, and I told a story, sort of a coming-of-age story when I was around 18 or 19, and accepting the fact that I was physically different than a lot of people around me, and how I came to terms with that. And it's very timely. They just posted the talks online. So
They did.
It's great to be with that group.
It is great, and they're lucky to have you and your story.
Oh, thank you.
It was incredibly disarming to hear, and I couldn't help but turn the lens on myself and all the things about ourselves that we perceive to be our weaknesses that are, in fact, our strengths. Isn't that the human condition, hey?
I think so. I think, you know, we are who we are by what we've experienced, right? And so I wouldn't be the person I am without what I've lived through, or even our own physicalities and that. And sometimes it's hard to think of that as a blessing when you're going through things,
Sure.
but ultimately it is if you manage to triumph over it, as they say, or at least take something as a learning experience of the human condition, all that.
Well, it brought us together, so you're welcome. You know.
I was just writing that in my diary last night. Yeah,
I know, yeah. I was watching through the window. It was weird for me, too.
Yeah.
I want to jump into where these gifts have taken the amazing man that you are, and that is to the stage and acting and producing and being involved in so many artistic endeavors. Why don't you let the watchers at home know about something that you're involved in right now that you're super proud of?
I'm really proud of. I have my own production company called Power Productions, which we started sort of informally a few years ago. And over the past year, we've become incorporated, and I have a board and all that. And I'm really proud of the fact that it's a production company here in St. John's, Newfoundland, that is dedicated to what we call the disability, deaf, and mad arts domain. So it's encouraging theater projects for people who identify as disabled or deaf, or even with mental health challenges. And it's something that's been lacking, not only in Newfoundland, but all in Atlantic Canada. There's no real company that I know of that sort of focuses on that. So I'm really happy that we've started to expand and do those projects. And we got a number of shows on the go. This is sort of the beginning of our 2019-2020 season. So
what does that look like? Because, and I'll set this up for people at home.
Yeah.
If you do not work in the arts or in production or theater, it is quite an adventure to be a part of financing, writing, creating, producing, touring productions. And each one has their own merit and their own power, am I right?
Absolutely. It is a lot of work, and it really is a work of, you have to be passionate about it. And sure. We have like a number of shows coming up, and I'm also a playwright and producer, as well as an actor and director. I got a great team with me, but it's many roles and many hats, and you're not always guaranteed that it's going to work, and it's a leap of faith to believe in the arts and believe in telling a story.
For sure. And where have your stories taken you?
Well, coming up for Power Productions, we're really excited. We got like a full season, sort of Power Productions was sort of put on the map with my own show called Crippled, which is my own story about growing up with a disability, but even more so than that, it's more of a love story and universal themes of grief. So I wrote that. It's a great example of art as a healing power. My partner, Jonathan, passed away suddenly back in 2013. And it took me many years to deal with that grief. And as an artist, the way I did it was through this play, Crippled. So it delves into that. And we've gotten great feedback and great reviews. And the best thing about it is, even though the lead character I play has a disability, the universal themes about grief and loss and love hits with everybody, and that's what people walk away with. And I'm so happy that people don't see that as a disabled play, as many people do when the topic of disability is brought to the stage. They saw it as a universal theme that everybody could relate to.
Talk to me for a moment about disabled versus differently abled. And when you hear those two terms, what comes to you?
They're all just terms. You know, people think you have a disability, you have all the answers. And I've done a lot of national conferences and everything for the arts, and I've learned it's what you feel comfortable with, differently abled or disabled. I always refer to I grew up with a disability or I live with a disability, but it's trying not to brand yourself as the disability, but instead of just seeing someone as a person, and whatever term you use. And I got a lot of negative flack at first because of the title I chose for my play, Crippled. But if you see the play, you see the title fits quite well. And I'm a child of the 70s and 80s, and back then when I was really, really young, that's what they called it, Crippled. So it's just being truthful to the terminology at the time. And also in theater, it's sort of a reclaiming of that word, crippled.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love reappropriation and taking back the terms. Speaking in our final minute here, our final few seconds actually before we throw to the break, Slim, old buddy, what's it like to see your old friend again hanging out and doing so well?
I'm proud. I'm happy. I think it's great. I think we crossed paths recently. Once you started doing the theater stuff, I saw you around, and I was like, holy shit, Paul from Holy Heart. So it was great.
Boom.
Yeah, throwback. And I mean, theater was heavy back then too. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So it was a big part of our lives. So the influence is there.
Love it. Where can people find you online to check you out and what's going on next?
Check out powerproductions.ca.
Right.
The next thing we got coming up is Prescription Murder, which is the original play that the TV series Columbo was based on.
Right.
And we're really excited about that. And we're doing it because A, it's a great show, but B, we have a diverse cast, meaning that we casted with people of various abilities.
Love it.
And we want to show that, hey, you can have a fun show with a diverse cast, and it doesn't always have to be heavy on disability issues.
Inclusion in the arts. It's our boy Paul Power. Thank you so much for coming by. After the break, we'll be right back. It's Out of the Fog. That's how we think.